Eye on Gauteng, brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development.
Welcome back. You're watching Eye on Gauteng. Still with us is the City of Tshwane's Executive Mayor, Counsellor Kgosientso Ramokgopa, the MMC of Economic Development and Planning, Mr. Subesh Pillay, and Joggie Mentz of Nissan South Africa. If you've just joined us, we're talking about the City of Tshwane and the economic opportunity that that city presents. And the Tshwane International Trade and Infrastructure Investment Conference is one of those vehicles. It's a 4-day thing. It's happened in the month of May. I attended myself, and of course, Mr. Mayor, you were there. And just talk to us about those economic opportunities that TTIC seeks to unlock in particular.
I think TTIC is significantly and primarily a platform for the local state, in this instance the City of Tshwane, to engage with private sector players, both domestic and international. Let me also indicate that one of the major features of TTIC this year is that we had delegates from 18 international countries. So you can see it's growing in stature, and there's an international flavor. There's an appetite for people from outside to really take a keen interest, a closer look on the city and what the opportunities present themselves. And
how has been the appetite been from international investors, would-be investors or people?
Yes, remember that when we get to TTIC, we present solid projects. We are able to demonstrate the return on investments. These are bankable projects. They've gone through a very robust process internally, and in fact they are ready for implementation. Most of them would have met all the administrative requirements, the legal requirements. So these are projects that are almost ready to be implemented, and they are just crying out for people to make investments, and that's why we are doing it. So it's a broad spectrum. So it's the people from the high end. When I say high end, I mean major players, people who are highly liquid, who wants to make serious investments in the city. To the low end, I mean, these are people who are simply emerging. They are looking at the local state to really create an opportunity, an environment to help them to thrive and prosper over a period of time. So it's a broad spectrum of participants across a broad spectrum of economic opportunities. They range from agriculture to issues of aerospace, and then in the middle there will be tourism, there will be issues of city planning, infrastructure, and there will be issues around manufacturing. So you can see, I mean, it's a whole range of people brought together, and with the breakaway sessions we then are in a position to concentrate or focus on a specific area. People can attend that commission and get an appreciation of what the city's plans are, what the opportunities are. But it also helps us just to get feedback on how we are doing with our relationship with the private sector, where are the bottlenecks. It's a very healthy opportunity for us to really reorganize the city. And post-TTIC, we are able to account for transactions that have happened as a result of bringing these people together. And it's not only limited to the partnership between the private sector and ourselves as government, but also networking opportunities amongst the private sector to realize other opportunities going forward. So it gives us that pristine opportunity to really profile the city's economy and make sure that people participate significantly.
Let's bring Subesh in. Subesh, obviously you've seen all the activities of TTIC over the past 4 days, and if you could perhaps give us an indication of the value it's been for the city itself, because we've seen the value from the mayor, from private sector, and those that want to get involved in the mainstream economy attending TTIC. But from the city's point of view, it's a 4-day event. We don't want it to be a talk shop or even a yawn shop.
But I mean, TTIC 2012 took place just shortly after we launched the city's new branding. And I think that branding speaks about igniting excellence and the whole concept of bringing in a new ethos of how we're doing things in the city. And I think for me, the big thing about TTIC, and this is the feedback that we're getting, is that in general there's an appreciation that things are beginning to take a new shape, and there's beginning to be a renewed energy that's focusing not so much on the planning aspects, but really getting us to move forward now, because we spend a lot of time thinking through the concepts, getting through the strategy issues. And we're really at a point where now this thing really has to get into the oven and begin to mature in a much.
So it's all about repositioning the city going forward?
Absolutely.
And the new positioning is, we are serious about business. We want to be this hub.
Well, business, I mean, cross-cutting, but I mean, obviously TTIC is focusing on business. And we've been getting very positive feedback out of it. As you say, it's the 4th time we've been running the platform now. And obviously, the real test of the success of TTIC is going to be in the ability of it to actually lock down investments. We'll be tracking that over a period of 12 months to be able to say, when we come back to TTIC, the next episode of TTIC, what has been the actual investments in the city. But from where we're sitting, almost getting into day 3 of TTIC, we're quite happy that what we set out to do, we're certainly achieved.
No, I've been attending since 2009, and I must say I've seen a huge improvement just from the logistics and even the way it looks. Joggie, you presented a paper in one of the breakaway sessions. How valuable was that for you, that whole session at TTIC, for your company and what you do?
Yeah, I think the interaction, especially with the audience there, there were people from small businesses or wannabe businesses. There were some international automotive component manufacturers, and then also some of the state organs like the AIDC and the supplier park. So I think it's a good display window, because we do a lot of selling to our global supply network. However, it comes from Nissan's side, so it appears to be with some vested interest. So I think the opportunities that events like TTIC poses is that they can now hear from the government themselves, local, regional. They can hear the commitment from government that they are committed to support, not just from the OEM itself. So I think it's a good display window for international.
Oh, fantastic. We're talking everything at very highbrow level, Mr. Mayor and Subesh, as well as Joggie. I was walking around the exhibition area, and I saw people that you can describe as small to medium, even micro enterprises, small businesses. They had a little stand there, and they come to TTIC every year. What I want to talk about now is SMME development, because entrepreneurship, I think the President has mentioned, is the only way that's going to solve most of our jobless problems. The City of Tshwane, with regards unlocking opportunities for the SMME sector, Mr. Mayor.
I think we're doing it different level. Let me agree with you, I think, first and foremost, to say that SMMEs are a very key component of the development equation. I mean, if you look at most of the developed countries, it's SMMEs that have driven economic growth. And we don't think that the architecture of our economy is any significantly different from theirs. So I think just to learn from those experiences, harnessing the skills, the enthusiasm of SMMEs will help us to harvest really the benefits over a period of time. We helping them, I mean, we have a program championed by the MMC here. We have a relationship with the University of Pretoria, where we take them through, I mean, basic skills, the issues of finances, how you manage your own finances, making projections and marketing. And in fact, we have run it over a period of time. We have produced over 1,000 of them who have graduated through that process. But I think by our own admission, the major deficit is that once they go through this process, the city does not present an opportunity for them to really realize, truly realize this benefit going forward. One of the things that I was raising at TIC, and I'm happy that also the MEC of Economic Development in the province sees these matters in the same light, is the ability of the city within the existing legislative framework to allow for an opportunity to really allocate some significant portion of the budget, be it or operational or capital budget, to these small entities to allow them to thrive without undermining the issues of quality, without going overboard with regards to budget, but accepting that there's a premium you need to pay for us to be able to allow them to get to a stage where we want to. And we are in discussions, I think, with the MMC at the mayoral committee, which is an equivalent of cabinet at the local government, to see to it that indeed we create an environment within the existing legislative framework that will affirm these companies going forward. And then we have another component of cooperatives. I mean, these are groups in many instances, women, same skills. I think through economies of scale, the critical mass, I think they will be in a position to produce for the city going forward. Their major limitations will be issues of equipment, just the skills to bid, I mean, when we have tender processes. So we need to create an environment that allows such people to really take advantage of the fiscals, how we spend our money going
Right.
forward. So I'm sure that we'll be able to formulate those responses over a period of time.
So the future looking good for SMMEs in the city. Business retention and investment attractions, Subesh, very interesting to know what plans the city has to keep the likes of Joggie still in the Tshwane region.
Well, look, we talked a lot about the logistics. I think there's a big issue about the skills. If we want to be the premium destination for investors, we need to be thinking through what are the kind of skills that these industries will need in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and we need to respond to that challenge. One of the big things is really how do you cultivate the cutting-edge skills required to support this industry. So we're working quite closely with the automotive industry, both Ford and Nissan. The others also have initiatives around how we incubate new entrants in this market, how we stimulate an environment for the lower order suppliers to come into the supply chain. So there's a big focus, I think, on keeping, on dealing with the skills issue. Because it's important that we are able to respond to that. And then, of course, just the legislative environment. One of the things that business keeps saying to us, often it's not a cost incentive, it's the efficiency of decision making that is an incentive to attracting business. With last year, the mayor announced a process that we've been able to reduce turnaround times on decision making from anything above 12 months to 34 days. We're now engaged in a process to even refine that further, so that we really present a local government and particularly a metro like ours becomes a one-stop shop for an investor. So you're able to interact with the city, you're able to get your town planning issues, your building plan issues, you're able to look really at regulatory environment, the incentives in government generally, and that's certainly important for us. Yeah.
Right, we've run out of time, but we have to give Joggie the last word. Joggie, City of Tshwane as a region for business going forward, what would you say for would-be investors as somebody that's been in the region for so many years?
Look, as Subesh said, also the big focus in terms of skills development. We've got a big skill or pool of labor close to us. Now we are embarking in these incubation projects whereby we can bring the small businesses and link them up. And our role as a manufacturer is to link them up with some tier 1 suppliers so they can become sub-suppliers to those tier 1 suppliers and eventually grow into being sustainable, independent businesses.
Okay, so you're very positive about the Tshwane as a region?
Yes, for sure. Especially the one-stop shop idea. I think I like that because based on past experience, that was one of the big handicaps for new entrants to come into the market, is that they have to go to many different government departments to get approval for various items. And if we can get to a situation where they can go one-stop shop, it will be ideal. And
on that note, we'll have to close the shop for today. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor Subesh, as well as Joggie. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Right, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. A big thank you to you at home for watching. And until next time, from me and the team, it's goodbye for now.